Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Thursday, November 30th of 2023. It is we are convening a session of the Philadelphia Tax Review Board. Today's category is license and inspections. Please be aware that this is a public hearing and it is being recorded. Because the meeting is public, participants and viewers have no expectation of privacy. And by continuing to be in the meeting, you are consenting to being recorded. With me today is our board chair, Nancy Kamerdiner Callan today, Dominique Ward, Paula Weiss, and George Matthews. Nancy, I'm going to give it over to you to read cases 1 and 2, and then I'll be putting case 3 into the room.
Okay, good. Good afternoon, everyone. Case number 1 is for Dmitry Aristov, last 4 digits of the docket 9251. I understand there may be a settlement here, but it's not finalized. Who has this matter from the city?
Good afternoon, Nancy. This is Mary Costello on behalf of the city of Philadelphia. I have this matter.
Okay. Do we need to introduce anyone else from the law department or otherwise for this, or can you handle it from your end?
So I can handle it from my end. It's just me working on it from the law department, and the attorney for the petitioner, Dmitry or Aristov. I believe that he is unavailable, but we did come to an agreement. Our agreement is a settlement figure in the amount of $10,000 that will be due for payment in full within 75 days.
Okay, but this matter has to stay open until everything is resolved there, and you're saying for possibility of 75 days. So
yes, yes.
How many days or months do we need to keep this as a pending matter until we can consider it resolved or get further information from you?
So we were just unable to draft and finalize the agreement prior to the hearing today, but it's my hope that I will be able to get that agreement to you today, and then you'll be able to close the matter administratively.
Okay, well, I think we should leave, it's your hope, so we should leave a little bit more time than that. Should we leave 2 weeks, a month? What's the potential time period here to make sure that you have time to resolve everything and we don't have to come back and rehear it?
So I would say 2 weeks then.
But you're comfortable with that?
Yeah, but it would likely be by tomorrow, if not today. Okay. Yeah.
Let's get confirmation from the board that they're agreeable to holding this for 2 weeks for resolution.
Paula Weiss, I concur in that.
Dominique Ward, I concur.
George Matthews, I concur.
And Nancy Kamerdiner, I concur. So we'll mark this one to be continued for 2 weeks to have resolution of the written confirmation on this, and be sure to let this board know that that's been resolved, or ask for further continuance if there's any complication on this matter.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The next item on our agenda, item number 2 for 1044 Market LLC, last 4 digits of the docket 8612. I understand there's no action needed on this item. Is that concurred in by the law department?
Yes, Mary Costello on behalf of the law department. I also represented the city on this matter. This matter is moot.
Okay. And we don't need to take any vote on it or anything like that in terms of our concurrence or anything, because it's already off our agenda.
Well, is it being withdrawn, or are we voting no action needed?
So there's no longer any bill. So I mean, I can't advise you on how to rule, but there is no bill at this
All right,
time.
but so we should mark it no action needed, Nancy.
Which is how we have it on our agenda right now, but I just wanted to reconfirm that, because sometimes they're called that, and indeed there needs to be some hold, but in this case there is nothing else that needs to come up.
Pause. I'm sorry, I don't mean to interject. You said that there is not a bill showing, and that's why you feel like there's no action needed?
There is no amount outstanding, so there's no action needed. So there's no basis to appeal.
Can we go step to the back real quick?
Sure.
Thank you.
If everyone just hold tight, please. Everyone just stay put. We're just waiting for Nancy to come back in the room, and she is. So we just have a couple of additional questions for Ms. Costello. Specifically, well, Paula, can you please ask?
Sure. Ms. Cassell, we wanted to just get a little bit of clarification. Number one, did you speak to the attorney of record for this case?
So I've spoken to him several times, and when I emailed the board about the matter, he's CC'd on the email. So
Okay, so
he's aware.
he's aware, and do you know what the reason is for him not appearing today?
I am not sure. When I spoke to him, he was on vacation, but I'm not sure if he's still on vacation today.
Okay.
Is the bill paid, Ms. Costello?
But he, the amount owed or due is zero, so the matter is moot. I'm not sure
But at
what.
some point there was a bill.
Yes, there was a bill that was sent to him, and that's what he appealed. He attached it to his appeal paperwork. I'm just looking back at the emails that I sent the board.
We're concerned because this has occurred previously where the city attorney alleged to us that there was nothing due and owing, and then come to find out there was. So we just wanted to make sure.
Oh, no, there's absolutely, there is nothing due or owing. I've talked to him several times. He's aware.
So this is what I would like to propose, and I can also put it in an email, that he just send me a letter noting his withdrawal. And then we can just put this matter to bed now.
Okay,
So we're gonna continue this case for the petitioner to provide us with a withdrawal letter, or just a response to my email saying that he wishes to withdraw.
oh, okay, so you're gonna email him, you don't want me to?
I'll do it,
Okay.
because you're right, there is an email that you sent saying that this matter was moot.
Mhm.
I'm just gonna follow up to that email and simply say, does he wish to withdraw?
Okay,
All right? Just to cover our.
Thank you, because having had a situation similar to this, not the same, but similar to it, makes us doubly wary, and we want to make sure that there are written records that go along with just our understanding.
no, I completely understand.
So thank you for getting that to us, and we will consider this as an open item until we have the written confirmation on things, and then it would be removed from our hearing listing.
Okay.
Nancy, this is Paula Weiss. I concur in the continuance.
Thank you.
Dominique Ford, I concur.
George Matthews, I concur.
And Nancy Cameradiner, I concur. Okay, thank you very much on helping us get the nitty-gritty details on the record. It's important to do that. Anything else before we move on to case number 3? Seeing no one respond to that, I'm going to turn to case number 3 and just turned around on my, here we go. It's for Absalate, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Trior, and please do correct me. Case ending in 8976, property address is 2967 North Sydenham Street. Please identify yourselves for the record.
Good afternoon, you can spell your name and. My name-
I can
Abdullah.
hardly hear you, or do you have a microphone near you that you can make sure that you can talk into it and that it's picking up your voice?
Here, you hear me now?
Much better than it was before.
Okay, my name is Abdullah Traore.
My apologies for not pronouncing it
No
correctly.
problem, no problem.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth with everything that comes before the board?
I do swear.
Okay, thank you. And with you is,
Yeah, good afternoon, my name is Roger Perry, Perry, attorney representing Mr. Traore in this matter.
okay, thank you. Who has this matter for the city?
Good afternoon, Mary Costello on behalf of the city of Philadelphia.
Do you have anyone else who will be presenting information, needs to be introduced and or sworn?
I do. I have Inspector Thomas Rybakowski.
Is he on to identify himself for the record?
He is. Do you see him?
Rybakowski?
For LNI.
I can hardly hear you. Do you have a good mic there?
I do.
Okay, now it's better. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth with everything that comes before the board?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else who needs to be identified and sworn?
Me, Eileen Fonseca with License and Inspections. I'll be reading in the numbers for this matter.
Okay, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth with everything that comes before the board?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So if you would present the numbers for the record here.
Sure. So this is for the property located at 2967 North Sydenham Street. And this is for a demolition invoice. The invoice date is May 23rd of 2023. L&I bill number is 21-005410. The principal amount is for $50,000 even. The administrative charge is $10,500 even. And the interest in which accrued is for $1,210 with 0 cents. That totals out the invoice to be $61,710.00.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there anything else that you need to provide at this point in terms of information for the board? Or does that recitation of numbers cover everything?
That recitation of numbers should cover everything.
Fine, thank you.
You're welcome.
coming back to the city's attorney, do you have any opening comments before we turn to the petitioner?
So I do have one stipulation that the city would like to make. We would stipulate to there being an asbestos bill that has been paid in full by the petitioner. That bill was generated on June 24th, 2021, and it was paid in full by the petitioner on August 24th of 2021.
How much was that bill for?
So that bill was for in the amount of $2,528.90.
And it was for what exactly?
So this was for as part of the demolition, and I think that you've seen this before, but they have the bill for asbestos, and then they have the bill for the actual demo itself. So they generate two separate bills. The bill for the asbestos work that was done was paid in full already. So we would stipulate to that.
So that $2,528.90 was for an inspection of the demolition. Is that what you're telling us?
No, I'm saying that the asbestos, the bill for asbestos containment, removal, inspection as part of the demolition process, the petitioner attached information regarding that to his appeal, and we are stipulating to that being the case, that the bill was issued for the asbestos as part of the demolition, and he has paid that in full.
Ms. Costello, are there any other ancillary bills we should be aware of?
That is the only one as part of this demolition. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. You don't have anything else you want to say before we turn to the petitioner at this point?
So I can present the city's case if that's.
We're gonna-
No, the petitioner,
Go ahead.
We're gonna turn to the petitioner for his case in chief first, and then we'll come back to you.
Okay.
Okay. We were all trying to say the same thing, but we were trying to talk over each other. Let's turn then to the petitioner. Please tell us why you're here and what it is you're looking for from this board.
Thank you. We would like to introduce the exhibit that was referred to by Ms. Costello. We've submitted 5 pages of exhibits.
Please stay with the mic if you can.
We've submitted a series of written exhibits, and the first one that was referred to by Ms. Costello is very important. That's the essence of our petition. This project is, and I apologize for a litany of history here, but this project was a demo started in May of 21, and as Ms. Costello indicated, the bill is sent out 2 years later in May of 23. Exhibit A, which the board has, I don't know how to access it, they would have to share the screen, but we indicated when this was done in July of 21, 2 years ago, that we requested a copy of the demolition lien to pay it off. We received that from the city, an official city indication mailing to us that a demo lien in the amount that she cited in $2,541 was still outstanding. It did not say asbestos lien, inspection lien, anything else. We specifically requested, as noted in Exhibit A, a copy of the demolition lien that was paid in full over 2 years ago in August of 21. The city has represented to us and follow up in terms of discussions a series of numerous errors on part of the city, starting with the fact that a demolition permit was pulled and is attached as an exhibit in June of 2021 for $15,500. The city independently abrogated that permit and apparently allowed the contractor to withdraw it and enter without additional documentation a $50,000 bid, which was then entered in the record sometime, I know it was entered in May of 2022, a year later. Unfortunately, on the list that we submitted as exhibits, the city indicates that the work was done in May of 2022. And we asked what work was done in May of 22 that we haven't paid for. And then they indicated, well, we cleared 4 lots. We had to landscape 4 lots and we had to fence in 4 lots. And we said, well, what does that have to do with the fact that we paid a demo lien for Sydenham Street? And they say, oh, well, that's an oversight on our part. And so you shouldn't be paying for clearing 4 lots, fencing 4 lots, and landscaping 4 lots, and also putting in sidewalks, by the way, adjacent to the 4 lots. So when we got the bill a year later, it was for $30,000? No, it was for $60,000, indicating these 4 lots were open and outstanding. We then contacted the city and say that we've paid this, and Exhibit A to our petition indicates the demo lien and the full amount and was paid. The city has subsequently indicated that yes, the $50,000 and the $10,000 and so forth was for additional work that was done and so forth. The problem is that the city billing says that the work was done in May of 2022 and the billing came out in May of 2023. And then we got a collection letter from a third-party collection agency for the city for this $61,000. But this is a series of errors by the city, which, we think should have stopped the city from now claiming that our payoff in August of 2021 was incorrect because we relied on the city billing and we paid it in full. And only a year later did they say that there was additional work that was billed and they didn't notify us that, the entire building permit process, demo permit process from June of 2021 was a mistake because the city records indicate that the total billing was $15,500 and now is $61,000 and so forth. And we're just saying that because these are errors, by the city and that we fully paid as per Exhibit A, that we have no further liability to the city. And that's the essence of our case. Mr. Traore can explain what happened, but essentially his property was torn down within, a week or something?
It was torn down within 5 days. So this is my American
5 days of what?
5 days of the notice they give to me, notice.
So the notice was posted on the property
They
and you
give
saw
me-
it, and then
they
it was
put-
torn down in
They
5
put
days.
the notice on the property 5 days after, the demolish. So they did not give me a chance to take an engineer to go look at it, what's going on. This was my American dream. I went on the oil field, worked as a laborer for 6 months, saved $29,000, buy this house from the city of Philadelphia. I never used the house. I was fixing the house to move my family in. And 6 months or a year later, they come and tore down these houses. I buy from them. This house here, never used, trying to fix it. And they tore down the house with my equipment worth of $20,000 inside. I lost everything all my life. I was even trying to do something bad to myself. I was
Okay.
calling them day and night. I called LNI day and night to give me a chance to fix the house. Because the engineer told me that the house was fixable. They say no, they say it's not safe. I believe at that time, there was some building falling down in Florida. I heard that the city has decided to tear down all the old building here. And from another case, I heard that some development project want the location now. So the city want to grab the location from me, saying that I owe them $80,000. And right now I'm here, I'm not working. I'm not
Okay,
working.
so can we take a step back and can we turn our attention back to your attorney? You kept referencing an exhibit, Exhibit A. What?
We
exhibit-
filed all these exhibits with the board.
Yes, Dominique, it is in the case petitions email I sent you. It's
Okay.
behind case number 3.
I can,
Okay,
if they compare them, we can,
One second. The Exhibit A that I'm looking at in the packet that you sent over is looks like it's the property deed. Is there something else I should be looking at?
It's not the deed, Dominique. It's the petition. It's the case petitions email I sent you.
Okay, so I don't have it. Okay, got it. All right, I'll stop talking there. And
our exhibit And Mr. Traore, when you got the notice of payment, you paid that promptly in August of 2021?
Yes, I did. I went through him, through his office, since my English is now good. So I hired him to represent me. He sent them different letter. And even told me that, this price is too low. Let me make sure. He sent them the letter and they confirmed that that letter is correct. He told me, he said, Traore, go and pay.
Yeah, and Exhibit A indicates, right at the top, it says demolition lien from the city of Philadelphia, and that was paid in full. And that's what's attached to that. Even if that was somehow an error on the part of the city has made so many errors in this case, starting with the permit in May of 21, then waiting a year to May of 22. If you look at the exhibit we filed after the Exhibit A, it says that the work date was May of 2022, and then as Ms. Costello has represented, they sent out the demo lien bill for collection in May of 2023. So this is, well over 2 years, when in fact, it should have been resolved by August of 2021.
And it takes like 2 years for them to change the property from the old name to my name. So the property, when I buy it, for 1 year, it was on Rogers' name. And that Rogers was threatening me on the place. So I buy the place from the city. The place wasn't even on my name for 2 years. And the city come and demolish the place without informing me. They give me only 5 days to fix the property. I hired the engineer, which I talked to him, and the next thing I know, they come, they demolish the place is gone, all my material are inside.
Okay. Yeah, we're not filing for the demolition in essence, we're just saying that by reason of a series of city errors in this matter, that they should be stopped from trying to collect anything more than the initial bill, which came to us in July of 2021. That was a timely bill. It was, recorded as a demolition lien, and then only subsequently in years since then have they placed a lien on the property and through Mr. Traore, who still owns the property, but he thinks that the cities should not be, a beneficiary of their own errors.
Okay, so let's put some structure to this. Do you have any type of direct examination that you have for your witness, so that way the city can subsequently do a cross-examination?
Of our witness?
Do you have a direct examination that you want to do
Yeah,
for your?
direct examination, Mr. Traore, did you?
Hold on, wait. Has he been sworn in, Nancy?
Yes.
Yes, I did.
Okay, so yep, do a
Well,
direct, and then the
okay.
city will proceed forward with cross.
Yeah, just a couple of questions. You've been sworn in.
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Traore, did you come to an attorney and request myself, to seek a copy of the demolition lien in 2021?
Yes, I did.
And pursuant to my request, which is now Exhibit A to our petition, did you receive such a bill?
Yes, I did.
And it was labeled demolition lien.
Yes.
Okay, and did you, by August 24th, as indicated by the city in our documents, pay that billing in full?
Yes, I paid in full.
Okay.
At that time, I was working, and I paid that bill in full according to his advice.
I understand. Did you have any other, at that time, and even up through another year or so, did you have any billing outstanding for this $50,000?
No, from the 3 years, I did nothing. I was cleaning my houses and pay the full taxes every year, and there was no money on it.
That's all I have. With the addition that we would submit our exhibits. The exhibits that we have are the full payment in August of 2024, and a note from the city of Philadelphia saying that they billed for the demolition for work that was done in 2022.
Okay, so you're moving those into evidence. Okay.
Sure.
Ms.
you.
Costello, do you have cross-examination for the witness?
So I do not have cross-examination for the witness at this time, but I would reserve the right to ask additional questions after I finish presenting the city's case.
I do have a few questions just to kind of get a little bit more of a framework, as Dominique mentioned. Mr. Perry, or Mr. Traore, when did you purchase the property?
I purchased the property a year before 2001. I purchased in 2020.
2020.
Yes.
And did you purchase it from a private owner, or did
So
you
I buy from City Hall.
sheriff's sale?
Sheriff's sale, yeah.
Sheriff's sale. Did you look at the property before you purchased it?
Yes, I look at the property, I take my engineer there, so he look at the property before even he went to sell. Then we know that we was able to fix it.
And after you purchased the property, did you get any notices from the city regarding any violations or the condition of the property?
Nothing at all.
Well, you mentioned at
Been
one point
sitting
you got
down-
a 5-day.
The place was sitting down there for 1 year. I was getting in and out trying to fix it. So I did not get nothing from them until the Florida collapse happened. You know, you remember that there was a collapse in Florida. So the building collapsed in Florida. So that thing, they decide to look over all the city building here. This is when LNI come after me.
And what is the property now?
The property is gone. Everything is
The
gone.
lot.
I lost everything.
lot.
Even the lot, somebody is going after me on the lot. The previous owner, he said the lot is for him, Rogers. And I
Okay.
think it's for me, so I even don't know what I own. I lost like $50,000. I don't know what I own. The lot even, I keep paying the tax for the lot. They can look at on the record. So I don't know what I own.
Mr. Perry, if I could just come back to you for a minute. In your opening, you referenced 4 lots having been cleaned or fenced, sidewalks put in. Was this property on your client's property one of these 4?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to be sure that it wasn't.
The building that was, well, to go all the way back to the sidewalk bidding, they bid a series of properties on that day, and the bids ranged from like $10,000 to $16,000. And that was for all the properties that, including Mr. Palmer, who bid this at $15,500.
Was that demolition or was that subsequent cleanup? Your understanding?
Everything.
Yeah, what they did is included 270 feet of fencing, new sidewalks, and bulldozing the land for all the lots.
But was that including the inclusive of actual demolition, or was that post demolition?
That was supposedly included in the original demolition bid.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
The city did not know that that was all encompassing under Sydenham Avenue until I inquired of that. They said, oh, well, we did this all concurrently in terms of, demos, clearing lots, fencing and so forth. But all of that encompassed, multiple properties. And at most, we thought Mr. Traore's, bid was $15,500. That's in the public records and so forth. Not until 2 years later did we get this $61,000, but that was also a year after we paid the demo lien as per Exhibit A that we submitted.
It is almost three years now. And another thing to tell you, the city even didn't know what's going on. So somebody called me 1 week before this bill come to my mail and asked me how much I paid to the city. I said, I don't remember. This happened 3 years ago. So how am I gonna remember? This is after they just throw the number away, $68,000. And make me afraid. I got an other problem. And I'm sick. And Mr. know about it. And they come, I cry and come to him and say that I already paid this money. So he said, I got a record. So if it was me, I would lose all those receipts. It was good that I passed by his law firm. He still have a record of those things. Right? So if it was me, I would lose everything. So the city will come to me and say that I owe them $100,000. I have no proof. So it was good I hired Mr. Rogers, to help me. So I believe they're taking advantage on me, and I believe in American law. So if the law, whatever the law says, this is what I'm going to. This is my American dream gone.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? No.
Okay, Ms. Costello, with that additional testimony, do you have anything that you want to add or cross-examine at this time?
I do not at this time.
You're still reserving your right?
Yes.
Okay, understood. All right, we're gonna switch gears now and have the city present their case in chief. And at that time, obviously, Counselor, you'll be able to cross-examine their witnesses as they work through them. So Ms. Costello, please proceed.
Thank you. So I do just want to start with, I'm not sure who Attorney Perry spoke to about what occurred here because we didn't really have a chance to go over it, but it wasn't me, and I kind of wish it was, because I think I would have been able to clear up a lot of these issues and the confusion. So hopefully I can do that here today. And there was a delay. Before we begin, there are issues with this case. He's correct. The city is not contesting that at all. There was a delay between when the violations were complied, which would be the imminently dangerous violations, from when the bill was issued and the invoice was generated for the demolition. There was no delay for the asbestos bill. But we'll go through all of that, and through the testimony of Inspector Rybakowski, I think we can clear a lot of this up. So I would like permission to share my screen.
Please go ahead.
Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. First, I would just, as an offer of proof, like to provide the deed for the property, because I think that can provide some clarity to the petitioner's testimony. So this is, as he stated, this is the deed for the property that was purchased via sheriff's
Zoom in a little
sale.
bit. I'm sorry to interrupt. Can you zoom in a little bit?
Sure, absolutely. So this is the deed for the property that was purchased via sheriff's sale. It was purchased as is, and the date that it was purchased was April 21st, 2020. And I'm not sure what he was referring to when he said that the property was under someone else's name, but the property was legally owned by him, paid for as of April 21st, 2020. And that's, I'd like to enter that into evidence as City Exhibit A. And I'd like to call Inspector Rybakowski as my first witness. Inspector Rybakowski, can you please state your full name and your position with the City of Philadelphia?
Thomas Rybakowski, City of Philadelphia, License and Inspections. I'm currently a construction compliance supervisor assigned to contractual services unit.
And how long have you held that position?
Since June of 2021. Prior to that, I was a building inspector and certified plan review specialist assigned to the same unit.
And what are your duties in terms of the demolition program with the city?
So my unit, which is contractual services unit or emergency response, is assigned the task of inspecting properties throughout the city and declaring those properties unsafe or eminently dangerous. And then we are assigned the task of inspecting the said permit to either repair or demolish that property to render the parcel safe.
And are you familiar with the property located at 2967 North Sydenham Street?
Somewhat, yes.
Can you please identify for the record what's been marked as City Exhibit B? I can zoom out here so people can see.
This is a photograph of the property at 2967 North Sydenham Street in Philadelphia.
And what date was that photograph taken?
This photograph was taken April 12th of 2019.
And can you please state for the record what we're looking at here?
You're looking at the front of the property, illustrating a fracture along the front wall of the first story of the property.
And what date was this photograph taken?
This photograph was taken April 12th of 2019.
And what are the dangers associated with the fractured wall that we can see here?
Essentially, this is a fracture of an exterior masonry wall. Essentially, what could happen is the masonry units could fail with material or the wall itself collapsing onto the sidewalk.
And what are we looking at in this photograph here?
This is a photograph taken of material that is accumulated onto the public walkway. Photograph was taken April 12th of 2019.
And can you please identify this photograph for the record?
This is another photograph, following an inspection that took place of the property. This inspection took place September 12th of 2019.
And can you please identify this photograph for the record?
This is another photograph of the property following an inspection that took place. You can, the photograph is date stamped May 14th of 2020.
And finally, can you please identify these last three photographs?
These last three photographs show a photograph taken of the property following an inspection. They show the side profile of the property at 2967 North Sittingham Street.
And can you describe the size of the property for the record?
Property is a 3-story masonry structure. It's a corner property at the 2900 block of North Sittingham.
And what are we viewing in this photograph here?
This is a photograph of the property. Following an inspection, it shows that the property was posted. The orange poster in the middle of the photograph is essentially a eminently dangerous posting on the property.
Mr. Rubikowski, what's the date on that?
You got the photograph. The photograph shows the posting is May 22nd, 21.
And just for the record, can you clarify when these last photographs were taken of the property?
This photograph was taken May 22nd of 2021.
Okay, thank you. And finally, can you please identify this last photograph for the record?
This photograph shows a demolition of a property on May 19th of 2022.
And is that your understanding of what the property looks like today?
That is not, that does not appear to be the same location as this property on Sittingham was a corner property.
Oh, I apologize for that. Can you please identify for the city what's been marked as Exhibit C?
This is a violation notice in order to correct sent to the owner for the property at the recorded address that we have for the owner of record. This notice was sent to an address at 216 South 49th Street, Philadelphia, PA 19139. The notice reflects a case number CF Charlie Frank 2021-042907, and the date on this notice is May 25th of 2021.
And what was the correct by date for this violation notice?
The correct by date is June 1st of 2021.
And can you please identify for the city, for the record, what's been marked as City Exhibit D?
This is a printout from the Office of Property Assessment, or as the OPA. This shows the recording, or what's officially recorded with the OPA as the mailing address, which is the same address that notification, which was previously mentioned, was mailed to.
Thank you. And once a property has gone out for bid, there's a specific process to accepting those bids, correct?
Yes, as there was no repairs or no permit issued for the repair of this property, the department saw fit to place the property out to bid for demolition. The property was placed to bid for demolition on June 8th of 2021. There were several contractors that went out to the location and submitted bids into the department.
And can you please identify what's been marked as City Exhibit E?
This is a sign-in sheet for the contractors that reviewed the property and would be placing a bid or potentially placing a bid to do the demolition on the property. It also has handwritten the specs that were included in the bid.
And what was the date of that?
The date is the same. It's the June 8th of 2021.
Okay, thank you. And can you please identify for the record what we're looking at here?
This is the tabulation or the series of bids that were received for the demolition that occurred at 2967 North Sittingham Street.
Ms. Costello, you need to zoom in.
Sure. Sorry about that.
Thank you.
And there were 5 contractors originally that bid on this property?
There were 5 that submitted a bid into the department, yes.
Okay. And why did the department go forward with and accept the bid from Palmer Construction Incorporated?
The bid that EK Multi-Services placed with the department of $15,500 was withdrawn by that contractor. So the department went ahead and awarded the bid or awarded the work to the second bidder, which was Palmer Construction, for $50,000.
When was that bid withdrawn? Do we have anywhere that shows that?
We do not have a record of when the bid was withdrawn. But Inspector, to my knowledge, but Inspector Rybakowski, does the city have contracts with specific contractors that place these bids?
We have a series of contractors that follow the master demolition program. They are awarded the contract that they're allowed to bid following the specs on that master demolition program. As far as answering Ms. Ward's question, we do not know exactly when the date that the contractor withdrew their bid, but it was recent in that the permit was updated with the contractor awarded the bid, which was Palmer.
Thank you.
And just to clarify for the record, Palmer was the next lowest bid
Correct.
that the city received.
Correct.
Okay. And can you please identify for the record what's been marked as City Exhibit F?
City Exhibit F is the invoice that the department received for the demolition of the property at 2967 North Sittingham. The accepted bid and the invoice reflect the $50,000 invoice.
Okay. And can you please identify the exhibit that we're looking at now?
This is the purchase order that is filled out by the procurement office, and it also reflects that $50,000 demolition.
Okay. And part of that demolition was the demolition of the 3-story property itself, correct?
Yes,
And then a portion of it was the grading for that specific property, correct?
yes,
As well as the gate surrounding to enclose the perimeter of the property and locks, correct?
correct.
And then additionally, the grading of lots is 2459 through 2467 were included in that bill, is that correct?
They were, yes,
Okay, but that does not relate to the petitioner's property, correct?
correct.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that? You were talking about other properties?
Sure, so Inspector Rybakowski just testified that the bill did include the demolition of the petitioner's property, include the grading of the petitioner's property. It included the fence surrounding the petitioner's property, as well as the lock and keys for that fence. But it did also include the grading of lots 2459 through 2456, which were in addition to the petitioner's property. Inspector Rybakowski, can you clarify how many lots were included in addition to the petitioners reading?
In looking at that description, it has grade the lots of 2459 through 2467, I believe that's or 57. So that would be 57 and 59. That would be two other lots along with the property at 2967 North Sittingham.
And why was that included then in the bill sent to the petitioner?
I don't have an answer for that. I don't know.
And is there a breakdown anywhere that shows demolition versus property rehabilitation, fencing, other items?
No, as it was all included in the same bid, it was all included in the demo package.
Thank you.
Inspector Rabikowski, in your experience working with CSU and in reviewing numerous demolition bids through city contractors, can you provide an estimate for what a demolition bill would be?
My estimating on this property being a corner property and being a three-story property, typically they range between 10 to 15,000.
Your voice is fading away.
So I would say with this property being a three-story corner property, typically they range between $10,000 to $15,000 per story. So with this being a three-story property, you could essentially range for a regular demolition of this property to go between $30,000 to $45,000.
And finally, Inspector Rabikowski, can you identify what's been marked as abatement or what has been marked as City Exhibit G?
So this would be the invoice for abatement work in association with a demolition that occurred at the subject property. That subject property would have been for 2967 North Sittingham Street. And this would have been for the total invoice for the demolition of $60,500. And that includes the 21% administrative fee.
Shouldn't there have been some consideration for the fact that it included work on lots he didn't own?
I don't have an answer for that, Ms. Weiss.
Okay, thanks.
And Inspector Rabikowski, did the petitioner ever take steps to try to correct the issues at his property?
I do not show a record of an issued permit or a permit being applied for the repair of this property.
And what steps would he need to take to comply the property?
The owner of record would have had to engage the services of a design professional, specifically an engineer. That engineer would have had to describe a repair plan for the property and then turn that repair plan, being that the property was deemed eminently dangerous, they would have had to submit an engineering report and a set of plans for the rehabilitation or the property being made to a safe condition under the terms of a make safe permit being issued.
And just for further clarification, you testified that the property was posted on May 22nd of 21.
Yes,
And that property was not put out to bid until June 8th of 2021. Is that correct?
correct.
Okay, and demolition did not begin on that property until after June 9th of 2021. Is that correct?
I show records in the city's, or I show, according to the inspection record on the demolition permit, there is an inspection that occurred on June 15th of 2021 showing demolition is in progress.
Inspector Rabikowski, is there a process if you would like to appeal any issues by or any violations issued by your department?
So with the posting of a property, you have the right to file an appeal to the administrative board. In this case, an appeal would have been filed to the Board of Building Standards.
And as you, and part of your job would be reviewing the Eclipse file for this property. Is that correct?
Yes.
And in your review of the Eclipse file, did you see that there was any appeal filed, that the petitioner was aware that the property was posted?
In preparing for today's proceedings, I did see that there was an appeal indicated onto the case record itself, but it was not uploaded into the system. It is in a draft status, which means it was started, but there was no address associated with it. It was started, but there was no completion, which means that it was started by an individual who tried to go into the system but did not complete the process. So there was no record of it being scheduled with the board for a hearing.
Okay, and can you please identify what's been marked as City Exhibit I?
That would have been the appeal, or at least the semblance of the appeal that would have been filed with the, or at least attempted to be filed in the system.
Okay. Thank you, Inspector Rabakowski. No further questions.
I have a couple of questions. So the photos that you showed in your exhibit earlier in the package were from 2019, correct?
Yes, Ms. Ward.
Why were you there in 2019?
There was an existing unsafe case on the property which had not been settled. Following the inspection that occurred in May of 2021, the property was upgraded to an eminently dangerous status.
So in 2019, it was not considered imminently dangerous at that time.
No, it was considered unsafe.
Okay, and there was no posting on the property at that time either?
No, when it was initially inspected by the area inspector, they would have posted an unsafe sticker onto the property.
Okay, so there would have been an unsafe sticker, but not imminently dangerous.
Correct.
Okay. Then I had another question. Is there any way, oh, excuse me, let me rephrase that. With regards to the billing for the work that was done for the demolition, is there any way that you're able to carve out how much each property costs to demo, or you're not able to do so?
So this was a standalone property.
Okay.
So this would have been a demolition of the standalone 3-story property, and then the department saw fit to grade the adjoining properties.
Okay, so the grading for the adjoining properties, we've testified that it was actually included in the bill. Is there any way that we can get a bill that shows exactly how much it costs just to demolition that property?
Unfortunately, it's all included in that bid, so that hasn't been broken on. That work wouldn't have been broken down, no.
Okay, and my final question, Ms. Costello, the deed that you showed as Exhibit A, can you pull that back up again?
Yes. Can you see my screen right now?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
So here's the deed.
Go down. Who's Roger Bradshaw?
So I could stipulate, this is public record. So Roger Bradshaw was the original owner of the property. When the city takes a property in sheriff's sale, first the sheriff, so you can see her signature, April 21st, 2021. So the sheriff's sale, they reference whatever the court case was that was associated with the taking of the property.
Okay.
So he's just the individual who owned the property prior to the petitioner.
Okay, and then based on this timeline, you said the petitioner acquired the property in 2020, on April 21st, 2020.
Yes.
Okay. All right, I don't have any additional questions. I think Ms. Board Member Weiss had several.
I do have a question, and that is that we have an indication that this property was coming up for sheriff's sale in 2019 or thereabouts, and it actually went to sheriff's sale in 2020. And I guess I'm just a little bit puzzled, because you already indicated here that in 2019, this property was declared or was identified as being unsafe. It wasn't yet into the demolition area, but is it typical for a property to go to sheriff's sale that is already in an unsafe condition? I may be out of line in asking that, but it's
No.
just puzzling to me that we're dealing with a property that had already been identified as being unsafe, and yet it went to sheriff's sale and a new buyer came along.
So, Inspector Rybakowski, I think you can address this as part of the, so I'm trying to think who would be the best person to speak on that issue. But Inspector Rybakowski, could you just address the issue with the property being unsafe and whether an unsafe property can be sold or cannot be sold?
The sheriff's office will sell a property if it's in violation, will sell a property even if it has a unsafe, or even if it has an eminently dangerous status on the property, they still will.
Are they required to point that out?
It is my understanding that during a sheriff's sale, at the beginning of the sheriff's sale, the sheriff or one of their attendants or somebody will basically make the statement that it is buyer beware on whatever properties they are looking at and buying.
So Inspector Rybakowski isn't an expert. He doesn't work for the sheriff's department. He's probably not the best person to answer questions regarding the sheriff's sale, but I can say it is the way the sheriff's website outlines procedures for a sheriff's sale. That is public record. And on that website, it states, buyer beware, you're purchasing a property as is. You should visit the property to see the property prior to purchasing it and take into account any kind of renovations that property would need. But there's not someone from the sheriff's office that prevents the sale of properties, if that's your
They're
question.
not required to explicitly describe that, from what I'm gathering. That's from what you're saying, but
No, because these properties are sold as is. Anyone who is purchasing a property from sheriff's sale is purchasing a property as is, including any kind of.
Thank you. I'm sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt with that, but I just wanted to see for the record whether there was anything that would have been required above and beyond what had been described previously. I thank you.
Ms. Cassell, could we go back to look at the photos again?
Sure.
Of the property.
So here's the first photo. Please let me know if you need me to zoom in on the property. Inspector Rybakowski previously testified that this property or this photograph was taken in April 12th of 2019.
Yeah, keep going. So I don't know if anybody, is this the Sydenham side?
Yes, that would be the city.
Okay. All right, can you go to the next one?
Still the Sittingham side.
Okay, keep going. I just want to get an idea of condition.
Indiana Avenue.
Is that right? That's the other side street, right?
The view from Sittingham with the second story bay on the left-hand side would be fronting Indiana Avenue.
Yeah, can I interject while we have the photograph here? It's Roger Perry. I was just wondering, Mr. Rybakowski indicated that it would have been posted as unsafe if it was when the photos were taken, but I didn't see any posters.
I don't, Mr. Rybakowski?
These are from re-inspections that occurred. I'm not sure if this is the initial violation for it being unsafe, but these are photographs of the property during that inspection.
Okay, I'm trying to get an idea of what the surrounding area looks like.
So, Ms. Weiss, I can tell you that the property sits roughly a block and a half away from Broad in Indiana.
Thank you. All right, and I assume you're gonna withdraw the photo that is
I
not,
am that, I apologize to the board. That's my error.
okay, so let me see. So it's a freestanding building. It's now posted. I don't know the date of this photo.
I believe Inspector Rabakowski previously testified that this photo was taken on May 22nd of 2021.
Thank you. And so there's obviously a gap between this building and the next building. And those are where the lots are that were also graded. Would that be correct? Is this the right angle?
Inspector Rabakowski, can you answer that question for?
The address or says yes, so they would be the lots that were graded. And were cleared, which would be the ones along the right-hand side of this property.
Okay, thank you. That was, are you going to speak to the billing, Ms. Costello, or should I ask my questions about the bills now?
Yes, I mean, I can make my closing statements if that's agreeable.
Okay, so you're not going to put on any more evidence regarding the billing itself, what was paid, not paid?
So we did stipulate to the fact that, I'm just gonna stop sharing my screen. We did stipulate to the fact that there was an asbestos bill issued by the city that was generated on June 24th of 2021, and it was paid on September 29th of 22. I believe Inspector Rabakowski also testified that the bill for the demolition, that was not generated until May 23rd of 2023.
Right, my question actually has to do with information provided by Mr. Perry in his opening and by his client having to do with the $15,000 demo lien that may have been paid prior to this billing. Do you have any evidence regarding that?
Yes, I'd like to recall Inspector Rabakowski as my witness.
No, just reserve my right to ask Mr. Rabakowski some questions also.
We'll give you an opportunity for cross.
Thank you.
Inspector Rabakowski, can you clarify the board? I think I can clarify for the board. I think I can bring up his exhibit. Exhibit A. No, I don't have that. Can you clarify for the board what the 15,500 was? And I can I can bring up our exhibit for your recollection.
I do recall in the beginning of the court proceedings, Mr. Perry did bring up a document that showed a notice of demolition permit that had the declared value of $15,500. That would have been issued by the department, and that would have corresponded with the original winning bid of $15,500, as that permit was processed in the system prior to the original contractor withdrawing their bid. Once the contractor withdrew the bid, the permit was updated with the award-winning contractor, but the department negated to change the declared value on the permit. The actual value for the permit would have been $50,000 because that was the second award-winning bidder who was awarded the demolition.
No,
That's
my
where the
objection,
invoice
that's
came
not
from.
in the record.
I'm sorry, Mr. Perry, I didn't catch that.
I objected that what could have or should have or must have been is not in the record. There isn't any. We're dealing with a permit dated June 10th, and I'll ask him about that.
So noted, you'll get an opportunity. So Mr. Rabakowski, if, as Mr. Perry has stated, this permit, that $15,000 was paid I guess maybe Ms. Fonseca is the right person. Has he gotten credit for that? Where did that money go?
I'm not sure if there was there a $15,000 payment for the demolition? I know that there was a payment for the asbestos, but that didn't total $15,000.
Right, we got that. All right, so that's a question for the petitioner to establish. Okay, those are my questions for right now. I guess, Mr. Perry, did you want to cross?
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Rabakowski.
And please speak into the mic as well as you can.
Okay, sorry. Am I okay now?
It's a little better.
I don't know how to increase.
Part of it's my ears, I know.
The volume here, okay. So the timeline I have is sidewalk bids were done on June 8th, 2021. There were a series of contractors, at which point one of the contractors bid $15,500 for the demolition of this property. Were you present when the sidewalk bids took place?
No,
So you don't know whether there are other bids that are listed in the city exhibits or not.
I know that there are 5 bids that are listed on that documentation.
What about bids for other demolitions on that day?
They're in that packet. You can see that there were other bids for other properties during that day.
Okay, and those ranged from my review of the city's records from approximately 10,000 to 16,000. Is that correct?
For Sittingham Street,
No, for the other sidewalk bids on that date.
I don't believe they're relevant.
Well, that's not for you to decide. The issue is whether or not the valuation you set at $10,000 per floor was represented by those other 4 or 5 properties.
That wasn't the question that I was asked. I was asked for me to estimate for what this demolition would be for the property on Sittingham, not the other properties that were surveyed by the other demolition contractors.
Now, the purchase invoice that I saw was dated for $50,000, was apparently backdated to June 9th, 2021. You saw that invoice for $50,000?
Yes,
Why would that be June the 9th of 2021 when the demolition permit was pulled a day later on June the 10th?
because the demolition contractor prepared his invoice when he applied or when he put in for his bid and then submitted it to the department
And was
at the conclusion, but the date is when he placed his bid in with the department.
that Pedro Palmer Construction?
Yes,
And you're aware of the fact that the demolition permit, which is in my package and then Ms. Costello's package, is dated after that, June the 10th, 2021 for $15,500. Can you explain why they didn't know that it was $50,000 when they dated that June the 10th?
as I previously stated, when the permit was issued in June 9th of 2021, when the permit was originally created in the system, it was created with the original price of $15,500. And then when the contractor withdrew the bid, the department updated the contractor, but negated to update the declared value. If they would have changed it, it would have reflected that $50,000 price.
I just note for the record that the date on the demo permit is June the 10th, not June the 9th, so it's a day later.
No, the permit was created in the system on June 8th, and then it was completed on June 9th, and then the permit was issued on June 10th. The issuing of a demo permit is a procedure. It's not a requirement. The requirement is actually the date the department or the procurement department issues the notice to proceed. The issuing of the demo permit is a state requirement. It has nothing to do with the demolition.
And are those 2 other documents public records?
Or which?
The 2 documents that you related to saying that there would be a submission, and then on June the 9th, there would have been an approval, and then on June the 10th, there would have been sort of a, just a form procedure to issue this. But my understanding is that the only public record is the notice of demolition permit issued June the 10th.
That's the public record, yes.
Thank you. Do you have anything to do with the revenue department in terms of reviewing payments of these bills?
No,
So that as an exhibit A, which I think Ms. Costello has and I've submitted to the board, it says at the top demolition or demo lien for 2967 North Sydenham, and the valuation was $2,541.51. Would it have normally said asbestos remediation on there instead of demolition lien, if that was the case?
Objection, I haven't submitted that. Not sure what Attorney Perry is referring to. My exhibit A is the deed for the
Okay,
property.
can the board put that up? It's in Ms. Costello's records, but I'm just sitting here with this in front of me.
I'm not sure what Attorney Perry is referring to.
Yeah, can we put up exhibit A?
Sure.
Thank you. Not your exhibit A, my exhibit A.
Oh, your exhibit A.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I can't speak to the
Melissa,
exhibit.
can we do that?
Yeah, the board has it.
I understand the board has it. I'm not sure what capability we have at the moment.
Okay.
Melissa, you're on mute.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize. I'm gonna log into my email and see if I can bring it up. So just give me.
All right, so let's. All right, why don't you continue, Mr. Perry, and we'll go back to the document.
Okay, and, to your knowledge, Mr. Rabakowski, and again, if I'm beyond your scope of expertise, please let me know. Why was there a one-year delay between May of 2021 and May of 22 in terms of issuing the demolition invoice of $50,000, when in fact it was submitted June 9th of 2021?
I don't have an answer.
Okay, and do you know why, and if the answer is the same, do you know why that the billing was another year, came out in June of 2023?
No.
Okay. And do you have any indication here from questioning from Ms. Costello or otherwise as to why the property was not marked unsafe prior to the sheriff's sale? I mean, on the
Objection.
property posted as unsafe, I'm sorry.
Objection, the Inspector Rabakowski hasn't testified that it wasn't posted as unsafe.
Do you know whether it was posted, Mr. Rabakowski, from any records you've reviewed?
I have that the property did have an unsafe case on it, and that the department policy is when the property is initially declared as unsafe, the inspector does post that property.
In any of the photographs that you reviewed for your testimony today, is there a poster indicating that the property is in unsafe condition?
Not that was in this, the packet that was presented.
Objection, relevance. We're talking about the fact that this property was imminently dangerous. Any unsafe case that was written prior to the petitioner owning the property is.
And again, for the board, we're getting sidetracked, but the issue, of course, is revenue department and our exhibit A, and that's been fully paid. And so I have no further questions for Mr. Rabakowski.
Thank you.
I don't know if she's able to. We send all these in, I don't know where they go.
Does Melissa, I can pull it down from the
No,
email.
I'm here. I'm
Oh,
here.
okay, I was about to say I can pull.
I had to jump on.
Thank you.
You sent it from your email, is that correct,
Yes,
Mr.
from R. Fenton Perry.
Perry? Yeah, here it is. Okay. Just need to share my screen.
Thank you.
No problem. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
All right. So this is the email you were talking about?
Can we move that sort of to the left or whatever, just so that it's,
Sure.
see the whole diagram there?
I don't know why this won't go away, but
If you like click on the top and move the whole page to the left, I think it will.
is that better?
Nope, hasn't moved.
Hmm.
It's just
Okay.
hidden now by everything else.
How's this?
No change. Scroll down and see what that is. I'm not sure that's exhibit A to my filings.
This?
Yeah, if you scroll to the bottom to see if it's marked Exhibit A.
Okay, maybe it's the other document.
I don't know, because
You sent two documents, so. Does this look more like what you're trying to get to?
it's
You
the
were
same
only
document,
seeing-
nothing new has come up on my screen.
Right, I'm only seeing the email itself, not any documents, Melissa.
Oh, goodness. Okay, one second.
I'm seeing two attachments to it. Can you please open the attachments?
Yes, okay. Better?
Yes, okay, come back to the top, that's great, that's Exhibit A. At the top, we just notice is a check mark for the board, this is what we've submitted, in combination with the other exhibit. This is the request for a demo lien from the City Department of Revenue, City of Philadelphia Department of Revenue responded, in terms of our request for a payoff of the demo lien, and this was in July of 2021, this was approximately a month after the work was done in June of 2021, and it indicated the payoff amount of $2,541.54. If you scroll down in Exhibit A, it'll indicate that this was the payoff and this was a receipt. And keep scrolling down, you'll see it's a receipt from the city. So that's the essence of our case. We had asked for, an update. And we got that in July of 2021, a month afterwards, and we paid that in full. And then a year later, we got a bill when in fact the purchase invoice was with the city, according to Mr. Rybakowski. Thank you, that's good there. Scroll up a little, okay. That's the demolition lien that we were working from. And the board can see that it's dated June the 10th, which is 2 days after the sidewalk bids and the day after the purchase invoice.
Objection. Inspector Rybakowski didn't testify that this is a purchase order. He
I'm
testified
sorry,
that.
this is a notice of demolition permit. I'm just saying that the purchase order that you submitted on direct for the city was dated June the 9th, 2021. Okay, yeah, I see. And
Correct.
Somebody else
Okay.
is thinking
Or I
about-
don't think anybody's disputing the
Okay.
dates, and we understand that somehow the billing was convoluted or delayed, and we understand.
Well, I don't know whether it was backdated or policy just got lost in the mail, but the bottom line is we didn't get it. And whatever we got, we paid. And
Did you, so that's my question then. You've referenced that $15,000 demo permit several times. Was anything paid towards that amount, or was it just the $25.54 that was paid?
Well,
I'm just,
the answer is that only the $25.54 was paid, and we understood that that was the demo lien because that was our request, and that was our mailing, and that was our response. And we had no other information for another year. And we didn't have all these documents that Ms. Costello refers to that are dated, in 2021. I don't know, other than the fact that the city has acknowledged that it's been a series of errors, including encompassing other work. And I didn't ask Mr. Rybakowski, but they also fenced all those lots in 270 feet of cyclone fence.
so,
But we think we paid, and the city should be stopped from, coming back 2 years later and saying, Mr. Traore, we're sorry we missed this bill, but, please pay us now.
so,
All right, Ms. O'Connor, did you have anything else you wanted to put on for your case in chief?
I'm sorry.
Yep.
Ms. Costello, did you have any other witnesses or
I had
information?
Yes,
some-
I would just like to call Inspector Rybakowski once more to provide some clarification. Inspector Rybakowski, the permit that the petitioner is referencing, no money was exchanged regarding the $15,500, correct?
I'm not sure what.
Mr. Rybakowski said he has nothing to do with.
So, yeah, I'm
Building
sorry,
development.
I'll withdraw that question.
Thank you.
The petitioner is simply referencing a permit for the property, correct? That's
Yes.
Okay, so that was not an invoice that was sent to the petitioner to pay.
No,
Okay. And then I would like to make my closing remarks if the board is amenable to that.
Mr. Traore has a couple
I
comments.
would like to say something. Yeah, I do have to say something. Because the city is for all of us. And we
Okay,
all-
so I don't mean to cut off the petitioner, but if he's gonna editorialize, that's
Okay,
not
okay.
necessarily what we want here.
Counterfactual,
So if you're
okay.
gonna ask him a question and he's gonna respond, that's different. But just for him to editorialize, that's not, that wouldn't be the appropriate posture. I just wanna just qualify that before he starts talking, if you have a
Okay, thank
question.
you. Yeah, I don't
Do
want-
they see any difference between the time I buy the house and the time I didn't buy it? Do they see those two pictures? Can they see, can you tell us the photo?
Yeah.
On the photo,
Okay.
can you tell us the difference between the two pictures before and after I bought it?
Now, Mr. Traore, let me ask you, did the property deteriorate at all substantially between the time, the initial and when you were working on it?
Never. I put a lot of money on it and the engineer was involved. So it was a question of time. They even didn't give me enough time. So based upon what you say, hiring an engineer, so he's gonna do the evaluation, that will take like a month or 2 months. So not 1 week.
Okay. And Mr. Traore, just based on that one indication in terms of the permit being $15,500 and that you weren't asked to pay that. But did the bill that you get that I reflected in the exhibit A, did you pay that in full?
I paid my bill in full. I
Okay.
was working at that time.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Did you have any closing, Mr. Perry?
Yes, just very briefly, we think that this is a revenue issue and this is not a deterioration of the property or demolition. We haven't filed a claim for the loss of the building or otherwise. This is an indication that all the documents that Ms. Costello has provided go all the way back to May of 2021. However, the first billing subsequent to our payment was received in June of 2023 and went through in May of 2022. The fact that the city has made those errors should have stopped them from saying that, oh, we didn't pay off the demo lien because we specifically requested the demo lien and we specifically paid 100% of it in a timely manner in August of 2021. Thank you.
I guess it's time for the city's closing comments.
I'm sorry, was that for me?
No, it's for the.
We're gonna turn to Ms. Costello for her closing.
So members of the board, I would just reiterate, we are not contesting the fact that the asbestos bill was issued by the city and that the petitioner has paid that bill in full. That's not why I don't believe why we're even here today. I believe it's to appeal the demolition bill. And the city is not contesting the fact that the demolition bill was issued and due as of May 23rd of 2023, when the demolition itself was done in June, around June 15th of 2021, as Inspector Rybakowski previously testified, and that is a gap. However, it's still within the statute of limitations for the city to issue bills, and no portion of that bill has been paid to date. I believe that the petitioner also brought up the fact that there were several bids on the property. The city has a very specific bid process that it goes through, as Inspector Rybakowski testified to, with specific contractors that comply with the city's contracts. And the lowest bid on that property, as Inspector Rybakowski testified to, was originally $15,500. And that's what was reflected in the demo permit, as Inspector Rybakowski testified. So that's what that is talking about. That has nothing to do with the petitioner. And that demo permit was not updated when the contractor withdrew his $15,500 bid. The demo permit should have said $50,000 because the city, as Inspector Rybakowski testified, had to go with the next lowest bid for this demo, which was $50,000. I believe Inspector Rybakowski also testified to the size of the lot and the property in question. This is a 3-story lot on a corner property. So the dangerous building on that property and the demolition that occurred of that dangerous, imminently dangerous structure that was, could fall down at any time, affected the neighboring lots. So as part of that bill, the city is not arguing there were additional grading of lots that were included and that make up portions of the bill. There were errors. We're not saying that there were not. We're saying that there was a delay in bill. We're saying that there were additional lots included, but that the imminently dangerous structure affected those lots that were neighboring, and so that's why they were contained in that bill, which the city can do under the code. But we're saying that the bill remains unpaid, the demolition bill remains unpaid, and the city is entitled to some form of payment of that bill because the work was done and the taxpayers, the members of the city of Philadelphia, have already paid it.
Costello, and I don't mean to be difficult, but can you show me in the code where the city has the authority to do work to one property and bill a neighboring owner?
So it's not that the city has authority, it's the city can abate a dangerous condition. So if that dangerous condition lands on the adjacent property, they can then clean up that dangerous condition.
And that's not considered a windfall for the property owner next door?
If the property owner next door's property
That
becomes
included new
dangerous.
sidewalks, if that included fencing, if that included cleanup, didn't that upgrade the neighboring properties?
But the neighboring properties didn't create the dangerous condition. So if the neighboring properties had an imminently dangerous structure that fell on properties next to it, and part of the abatement of that imminently dangerous structure requires the department to then clean up whatever the issue was that was created by that imminently dangerous structure, then that cannot be put on that property owner. That the property owner of the adjacent lot didn't pick the petitioner to purchase a property and then not correct it.
If they didn't fence,
Wasn't
fencing is included in that?
for safety reasons, they have to fence off the property while they're doing the demolition.
Yeah.
And I can recall Inspector Rabikowski to testify as to
that's
why
fine.
that would be.
I had a question. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Again, trying not to be difficult, but
No, of course.
the lien number that's outstanding for this.
The lien number that's outstanding. Second, so that is part of our exhibit packet, I believe, and I can bring that back up if the board's agreeable to that.
Yes, let me see or you can just tell me where in your exhibit packet it's at, which one it is, or you can bring it up, whichever is
Sure,
easier.
I'll bring it up in case the other board members.
I was trying to find it myself and I was unsuccessful, so I figured I'd just ask you.
Sorry, my computer is so slow.
It's fine.
Okay, so here, fortunately, actually, wait, I can rotate it. I believe.
You can rotate it from the top.
So here's the lien and debt information.
Okay, so the
And this
lien-
is public record.
All right, so the lien number is gonna be 021005410. All right, so I think what I'm
there
trying
is-
to understand, and I can't speak for the rest of the board members, is that the letter that was submitted by petitioner in their exhibit A shows, you know, a clear inquiry from a taxpayer. Hey, how much do I owe for this property? There's a lien. I'm trying to figure out how much I owe, XYZ. And the response that was given, albeit I recognize that $2,500 is a low number considering what was done on the property, but there's nothing in here that indicates that there's another lien that's outstanding, that this lien only speaks to one particular thing. So I guess I'm just trying to get, just for me, I'm just trying to understand how would he know that after paying $2,500, besides the fact of thinking that that's just a very great deal on a demo, the city got a really good bid, that he didn't pay this off. That's what I'm trying to understand, because there's nothing on here that indicates that there's anything else due and owing, in so much that it even says we are marking that your email is resolved. So like, there's not even like any type of indication that there's going to be further follow-up from the city to let him know, hey, let's investigate this further. You have multiple liens that are outstanding. I
So-
think that's what I'm trying to get a feel for, because council's arguing basically accord and satisfaction by saying you guys are stopped. And I'm just trying to understand how you're going to overcome that hurdle in this instance, because for all intents and purposes, externally, you know, the 30,000-foot view, it looks like he asked back in July of 2021, and this is after everything is completed, and after everything based off the testimony of your witnesses, that the billing was updated, and this is the number he was given and he paid.
So Inspector Rabakowski can't really testify to what was updated or what wasn't with the revenue department or the Department of Revenue. But this invoice, I think you can see it's City Exhibit G, is dated May 23rd of 2023. So there was no invoice for the demo yet in the system for the Department of Revenue. They provided what they had. And the city is well within their right to bill within that 2-year period of the correction date, per the statute of limitations. So it's not that the city said, no, this is done. They just provided what they had at that time.
Was this notice mailed to the petitioner?
Yes,
Or how did it get?
The
to
abatement
them?
work invoice was mailed to the petitioner, and that's the basis for their appeal today. That's how they knew that they were being billed more than just the $2,000+ for the asbestos work.
So
Does that
board
make
ready to go
sense?
back?
So any other questions, or are we ready to go back?
I'm ready to go back.
Okay.
Helping from us.
If everyone can just wait, the board is gonna go into the virtual breakout room and we will return.
You're on speaker. We're talking about this among ourselves.
I'm very serious, like,
Yeah.
I want to go to something that,
Yeah, I know.
you know, they give us more ideas.
It will be what it is, yeah. We learned that we have to sleep at night, so we can't go all in every day on everything. I have, 40 or 50 of these pending, not your type, but lawsuits, litigation, and so we have to be relatively calm.
You present the case properly, you learn the case.
Well, I think you did a good job, explaining why you were concerned, and where I wanted, at the end, what I did is bring them back to, this is a revenue issue. And she's saying that we have 2 years to bill, I'm saying, except where we get a bill and pay it. Oh. 23 years old. Maybe it's the same, you think of on, I don't know, every once in a while, the calendars turn over. This is maybe a city crest.
This court is a civil court or what?
Well, this is in a city administrative body, in other words, they have these to try to keep cases out of court.
Okay.
But we did both.
Okay.
This is the smallest Bible I've ever seen.
Because what happened, we even showed them, are they allowed to sell, knowing that the house is not good and put on market and sell it? This is why,
Well, based on my experience, there's 2 things going on here. One is they may impose a $15,000 bill. The second is, what was I saying? I know that each I can take an appeal, and they told us $15,000. What I was trying to say is, it was good that they made a reputation because they know you've already lost the property, and they'll say, maybe that's enough. We'll see, one of those 3 things. Really, it's the longest. I think for the minute,
because the case was like too old, and there is a lot of details,
a lot of detail. Now, the city, for a long time, every time they say that this is city money and so forth, it's like, I say, then that's why we pay our taxes. I pay a lot of taxes. Okay.
Just waiting for the board members to return. Everyone is back.
No, Ms. Costello is not back yet.
She is not.
I'm right here.
Okay. All right. So the board, we have met, we deliberated, and we have made a determination that the petition will be granted in part, denied in part. Let me just say that. The bill is going to be adjusted down as follows. Based on the testimony of Mr. Rapakowski, that the estimated number per floor for demolition would have been approximately $10,000 to $15,000. We're going to estimate that $10,000 would have been per floor. So as a result, the demolition should have cost about $30,000. We qualified with this. Ms. Rabakowski also shared that the grading that was included was not necessarily applicable to the actual petitioner's property. So we would subtract that out. And then the fact of the matter that the $10,500 administration fee that currently is sitting on this bill is not due to the lack of good faith of the petitioner. He made multiple attempts to try to get this bill paid earlier than later, in so much that he even sent out an email trying to get this paid off, submitted a good faith payment in full less than 30 days later of the $2,500 that was due and owing for the asbestos, albeit it wasn't identified, but it was paid towards the demolition. As such, we were willing to abate fully the interest and the administrative fee on this, and I believe that takes us down to about a $30,000 flat fee that should be due and owing for this abatement of the property. Now, to address the estopped argument that was raised by the petitioner's counsel. Yes, you did receive notification from the city that highlighted that the amount due and owing was approximately $2,500, and that was paid in full. However, as city's council has stated, and based on the testimony of Mr. Rabakowski, and I think honestly, looking at the property back in 2019, based on the fact that your client did go out and view it, it was not in great shape. It was already considered dangerous at that point, even if it wasn't imminently dangerous. And as such, it's clear that $2,500 to tear down a 3-story building is not a reasonable number to expect for cost. So as a result, we do not find that this matter was stopped based on the payment that you paid previously. I think that's everything. I don't know if anybody has any questions. I know that was a lot of words.
Just that they have 30 days to appeal to the Court of Common Pleas from the date of the mailing of this decision.
Paula Weiss, I concur.
George Matthews, I concur.
Nancy Cameradiner, I concur.
Dominique Ward, I concur.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll look for a letter.
Okay, yeah,
Thank
just say- we'll be sending out a letter. You'll get time to review that and see whether or not everything's in proper order. If excuse me, if no one protests or doesn't take it to the Court of Common Pleas, then at the end of that time period, you should be addressing the arrangements on any remaining payments that might be outstanding, if there are any.
All right, everyone.
Very much.
Thank you all for your time. And this being the last item on our agenda, unless there's something I have overlooked, this hearing is adjourned.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye now.
Bye.